Hey guys, so it's time for another Art Addicts Alliance video, and this one is for the month of February, and the theme was love. So I'm a little bit late with my video again, and the main reason is just, I think I mentioned this before, but I've been working on some client work, and that's kind of had to take a little bit, that's been taking some of my time, and then, I got sick over the weekend that this was supposed to go up, and just things have been taking longer than they used to. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, so I actually came across this by accident, in the sense that whenever I made the thumbnail for this, it actually was not intended to be for the Art Addicts Alliance, but once I had made it, I realized that it would actually fit within the theme perfectly. So I was sitting down and I was doing a bunch of thumbnail concepts for my next piece, and I just sort of came up with the characters first, rather. I just thought about this dwarf having a crush or being in love with this tall elf guy, and I just did a bunch of sketches of them in different situations. And there's one that I did where she's kind of on her tippy toes trying to, get up and kiss him, and that's whenever I came up with this idea, because the phrase "make love not war" came to my mind. And one concept I had was the war was over and she was kind of injured or whatever, but they were the only two alive kind of thing, so it was why even fight. But I kind of just took it a step further and kind of combined the whole kissing thing with that, where it's actually in the middle of war, so yeah, like I said, it kind of came from the phrase "make love not war," so yeah. So this is an 11 by 14, which is a little bit bigger than what I normally work. I know that whenever I'm oh, the painting's really big, it's 11 by 14, people are that's really small, and I know technically it's small, but it's big for me. So it took a little bit long. I think that's another reason why it took a little bit longer, but I also did a little bit of a different technique with this as well, where basically what I did was, it's mostly flat watercolor, and then I would line the lines with gouache, mostly brown gouache, although there were some places where I used blue. And then I would take that same color of gouache, but a little bit more watered down to do all the shading. And this is something that you would think would have made things a little bit faster, but I guess not. Like I said, this took longer than I thought, but I really like how it looks, though. It's something a little bit different for me. So yeah, most of the places there's only one layer of watercolor. There's somewhere it was two, but it's still a flat wash for the most part, because some of the places I had to build up a little bit more so that there was a little bit more contrast in the values. And then I made sure to make them a lot warmer than the rest of everything around them, to bring them out a little bit more, also kind of make it seem like they're in a really cold, desolate environment, and everything around them is cold and desolate, like war, but they're warm, I also made sure that I gave a lot more red to her. She does have a green shirt on, but there's a lot of red on her, and he is wearing a lot of green, and I was thinking, okay, those are on opposite sides of the color wheel, so kind of to just reinforce that whole differences thing. Something I learned through this was not to get too attached to a sketch, and even if you like one thing, it might be worth it to go ahead and try to do it again, because I sketched her out first, and I really like how she looked, but I couldn't get him to work out. So I flipped the page and did another sketch, and I actually ended up liking my sketch of her even more in that. And this is something I always have to remind myself, is sometimes you'll really get attached to one thing in a sketch, and sometimes you're better off just letting it go and trying again, like, fresh. So yeah, I didn't use any gouache like in the back of the background with like the bodies or the snow or the fighting figures. Those I kind of just wanted to leave like in the background because I wanted it to almost seem a little bit foggy. I really wanted it to fade in the background yet still be like visible, like still be part of the story, but I didn't use any like gouache like past like the rock, which I really like how the rock looks. I did the same thing where it was just a layer of watercolor and then like gouache to like do the shadows. And so I'm like, I'm really just weirdly proud of this rock. Because I think it probably looks a little bit more like a rock than most of my other rocks, where I would just kind of make them pretty like smooth. Like this is still a pretty smooth rock, but it looks a little bit more realistic. My dog's whining in the background. So yeah, there's really not too much to say with this. I rather quite like how it turned out, even though whenever I was doing it, I was kind of starting to get a little bit tired of it toward the end, but I really like how it turned out, and I'm kind of hoping maybe to like add this to my portfolio, because I have been wanting to build up my portfolio, and whenever I started this, I was like, okay, maybe I can actually put this in my portfolio or something. I don't know. I'm having somebody help me with that, or rather somebody offered to help me with my building my portfolio. I wanted to like get this up on by Valentine's Day, but it just wasn't like feasible. Like I finished it a little bit more toward the end of Valentine's Day, and there just wasn't enough time to like, you know, finish up the video or whatever. But I was glad that I at least got the picture up on Instagram. So like I actually got like featured by a couple of people. It was kind of interesting. So I guess I must have struck a chord with some people or something. I don't know. But yeah, I was really thankful about that. So there isn't really much else to say. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, make sure to check out the other members' videos and their channels, and yeah, and the Facebook will be linked below as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.